I don't think that people really comprehend what it's like to take a hit.
Right. It's like two cars going full speed, head-to-head collision.
Darrius Heyward-Bey knows this all too well. Last season, he suffered a neck injury severe enough to hospitalize him overnight, one that still bothers him to this day. Then in week 3 of this season,
Palmer throws end zone, broken up with a big hit by Ryan Mundy on Darrius Heyward-Bey.
he sustained a concussion that left him motionless in the end zone for 10 minutes.
I don't remember getting hit.
Do you remember the play?
I remember motioning down and then looking up for the ball, and then from there it's just all black.
What Heyward-Bey does not remember will not soon be forgotten by anyone who witnessed the hit.
Palmer to the end zone, broke it up.
This is the center of the brain.
Dr. Rick Figler is a concussion specialist at the Cleveland Clinic. He has not treated Heyward-Bey, but says the footage shows that the initial hit caused 2 traumas to his brain. When the first hit landed on the front of Heyward-Bey's face, the ensuing collision of his brain against the back of his skull caused a concussion. The same hit also violently twisted Heyward-Bey's neck. That forced his brain to momentarily rotate, compounding the injury.
Theoretically, it's like an egg, right? I mean, the shell is hard, but the inside is a little bit softer. So it would move if you spun it around a little bit, but because of the membranes in the brain, it'll always be that partial second behind.
Darrius Heyward-Bey is not moving.
Have you seen the play?
Yes. I was out cold before I even hit the ground.
Because Heyward-Bey was unconscious and unable to brace his head for a collision with the field, his brain suffered yet another impact with the back of his skull. On the first blow that he took, was he concussed?
Yes.
On the second blow, when his head hit the grass, was he concussed again?
Hard to say, but he definitely sustained more trauma when he hit the second one.
Darrius Heyward-Bey is still down on the field.
In the tense moments that followed, an entire stadium set the game aside to focus on Heyward-Bey.
And concern on both sides, Steelers and Raiders, as they tend to Darrius Heyward-Bey.
At that moment, nobody really knew what was going on. My teammates, the players from the Steelers, people taking down knees and praying for me. And the fans, I just appreciate that. Carson told me, he came over and checked up on me. He said my eyes were rolling back. I was out cold.
Your eyes were rolling back?
Rolling back. I was just, out of it.
There's a good sign.
He lifted his thumb as he was rolled off the field on a stretcher, which was a relief to everyone in the stadium, except for Heyward-Bey himself.
I didn't know why I was giving a thumbs up. Somebody told me to give the crowd a thumbs up.
So somebody that was carting you off
Yes.
said, just give him a thumbs up.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, okay, thumbs up, sure. And that was it.
Heyward-Bey was hospitalized overnight, and in the days that followed, his focus, albeit fuzzy, shifted to recovering from his concussion.
The day I started feeling like me again was Friday, almost a full week after the hit.
Even on Friday, what were you still going through?
Just foggy. Just imagine putting on some foggy glasses. That's how my day was. Just real slow.
One play fake, Palmer to the end zone, broke it up.
When you watch it, is there part of you that winces?
Not really. I try not to. Because I don't want it to affect me on the field.
When you walk out of this room and you move on to the next part of your day, you going to think twice about anything we've talked about?
No. I have to approach it that way. If I start second guessing, like, well, what happened when I got hit, or it might happen again, I don't think I'll be able to play football the way I want to.
So you don't ever think about the future?
No. It's all about the next game. When I'm 50, I'll worry about that when I'm there.
Have you asked any questions about what's going on or what happened to your brain?
Not really.
This is your brain.
Somebody told me I couldn't play football, or that, your concussion was too severe that you can't do certain things. Maybe I feel different, but that's not the case.
Have the doctors told you, or if you inquired, if you are more predisposed to concussions now that you've had this pretty serious one?
I haven't had that conversation.
Would that change anything for you?
Maybe, but I know how I feel now. Goes back to the F word, fear. I don't think I can have fear going into a game. If I do, maybe I need to think of a different line of work.
I think Andrea was giving voice to what so many folks who were sitting at home watching this were saying, which is like, this is your brain. And it's sort of surprising. Is he incurious? Is he just making sure that he doesn't know what he doesn't want to know? Right. What is the mindset behind an NFL player who has been concussed that you can perhaps give us a little bit more information on there?
Well, I think the mindset speaks to where you're at in your career. You know, if you'd asked me when I suffered a couple concussions when I was younger, if you'd asked me when I was younger and I knew I had 10 years of playing left, I would have answered the same way. I'm thinking about the next game. I'm not thinking about the future. But then later on in my career, and I think of two incidents. One, I think my third to last year, we were up in New York. I threw a pass very similar to that, and Anquan Boldin got knocked out on the field. And it started to make me think about the future. I suffered a concussion my last year playing, and as I got closer to retirement, I started to think, what's my future going to be like? You know, do I subject myself to those things? And so the mindset, I think, is completely different when you're a young guy. You feel invincible. You think football's the rest of your life. When you get closer to the rest of your life, that mindset changes. And I wonder right now, you know, because of the things that I suffered, what will I be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, or 50, like Heyward-Bey said?
Kurt, there's a certain fear when you lay on that carpet. I've laid on that carpet like that, and I've had to be carted off. And there's a certain fear, wow, will I ever move again? Will I ever walk again? Now, when I got up, I went to as many doctors as I can find to try to find one that said, okay, you can get back on that
How
football
old were you when that happened?
Well, I was at the end of my career, and I've had, I had great success, great success, but I still had that pull to get back on the field. We hear people all the time. We hear players talking about next game, we got to focus on the next game, and you think of it as just, that's what they do to keep focused. That's how you live. That's why, being hurt in any kind of way and not being a part of the team, it's a tough situation being on a football club. And situations like that, it's just scary.
Well, you see that sort of stuff and you think, what is a mild concussion? Either your brain has slammed against the side of your skull or the back of your skull, or it hasn't. Right?
Yeah. Well, but I think it's one of those things, like, for me, I never forgot anything. I was never knocked out. But I did have some of those symptoms like Darrius was talking about, where I always felt like it was like an out-of-body experience, where I was watching life from behind my body. It was just kind of a fog, kind of out of it. And so you understand, and that's what happened in my last game that I missed because of a concussion, is I passed all the tests, but I knew I wasn't right. I knew there was something about me that wasn't 100%, and I had to make that decision to choose not to play, even though I had passed all the baseline tests that they put you through.
One of the things I worried about also was just the ego side of it. When I got home and talked to my wife, I said, I really think I can play. This condition I've had for a while. She said, well, how can you put us through waiting for each play, and you're trying to show the rest of the world that you're not afraid, and you're running these slants, and we're waiting on you to get up? It's just a hard thing for a football player. And I want to say this, Rich and guys. That's why, honestly, we talk about it, we moan, but I'm glad the NFL is doing what they're doing to help us make better decisions on these kind of situations, because the barbaric side of that football team mentality will make you get out there every time.
Well, we're hoping